HOA demanded I remove my solar panels, then lost power during a storm. The rain pounded against the roof of the Oak Ridge Estates Community Hall, a steady drumbeat matching the rage boiling inside the room. I don't give a damn what the law says, Carter. Evelyn Hargrove's voice sliced through the air, sharp enough to make some Gather homeowners flinch. She slammed a stack of papers onto the table in front of her. This isn't about the state. It's about our rules. And you are violating them. Alex Carter leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, his expression infuriatingly calm. And I've told you, Evelyn, your rules don't override state law. He tapped a thick binder on the table, his carefully compiled legal defenses, proof that he had every right to keep his solar panels. You can keep writing your little citations, but they won't hold up in court. Evelyn's face twisted in fury. You smug little. Smug what, Evelyn? Alex interrupted, his voice cold. Go ahead. Say it. Call me what you've been muttering under your breath this whole time. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Tom, one of the more reasonable neighbors, shifted uncomfortably in his seat, but others, Evelyn's loyal lapdogs, nodded along with her. I'm calling you a selfish, stubborn asshole, Evelyn spat. We all follow the HOA rules. We all do our part to keep this neighborhood beautiful. And then you come along with your ugly-ass black panels, sticking out like a sore thumb. Do you think you're better than us, Carter? Do you think the rest of us are just sheep? Alex's jaw tightened. I think the rest of you are being controlled by a dictator in a cardigan. A few people gasped. Someone stifled a laugh. Evelyn's eyes burned with fury. You think this is funny? She hissed. You think you can just mock me, mock us, and get away with it? She turned to the other HOA board members, her manicured finger jabbing the air. I want an emergency vote. Right now. If Carter won't comply, we fine him until he does. You can't do that, Alex said, voice low, dangerous. Evelyn sneered. The hell we can't. A short, stocky man, Greg, Evelyn's most loyal enforcer, stood up. You listen here, Carter. He growled. You might think you're untouchable with your fancy-ass legal mumbo-jumbo, but this ain't the goddamn Supreme Court. This is our neighborhood, and if we say your panels have to go, they have to go. Alex exhaled slowly. He could feel the weight of the room pressing down on him. He knew Evelyn had spent years bending this community to her will. But what she didn't know was that he wasn't just here to fight back. He was here to win. You people are unbelievable, Alex muttered, shaking his head. You'd rather throw a tantrum in a meeting hall than admit that you're wrong. This is about power, not rules. Not aesthetics. Not property values. It's about you, Evelyn, and how you can't stand not getting your way. Evelyn's face flushed red. You son of a... The door burst open with a crack of thunder. A gust of wind and rain whipped through the room, making papers scatter. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then the lights flickered and cut out completely. Gasps and curses filled the room. And then, slowly, almost mockingly, a glow filled the window behind Alex. His house. The only house still shining in the storm-darkened neighborhood. Evelyn's mouth opened, then closed. Alex smiled. Well, ain't that something? Absolutely. We're keeping the fire lit. Heated exchanges, power plays, and mounting tension. This section will push the conflict further, making Evelyn and the HOA escalate their attacks, while Alex prepares his counterstrike. Buckle up. Turn that shit off, Evelyn snapped, spinning back to face Alex as the HOA board members scrambled to find their phones in the pitch-black room. You're making a goddamn spectacle. Alex leaned forward, voice smooth as silk. Oh, you mean my lights? Yeah, I would turn them off. But see, that's kind of the point of energy independence. I don't have to. Greg, still standing beside Evelyn like some kind of henchman, gritted his teeth. You think you're clever. Huh. He gestured toward the window, where Alex's house glowed like a beacon among the darkened rooftops. Do you think you just proved some kind of point? Alex chuckled. Oh, I know I did. Evelyn's nails dug into the wooden table, knuckles turning white. You are violating our rules, Carter. We don't give a damn about your little stormproof ego trip. You own this neighborhood. Alex's smile dropped. No, Evelyn. You don't. A murmur spread through the room. Evelyn took a slow, measured breath. All right, she said, her voice now controlled, but simmering with rage. You want to play hardball? Fine. She turned to the board. We'll hit him with fines. Every single violation we can find. Unapproved exterior modifications. Excessive brightness at night. Non-compliant roof design. Hell, we'll even dig up the old noise ordinances and slap him with those. Noise. Alex scoffed. I don't throw parties, and I sure as hell don't blast music like Greg's kids do every weekend. Watch your damn mouth, Carter, Greg growled. Evelyn ignored him. Every day that you refuse to take those panels down, the fines double. Alex folded his arms. Go ahead. You'll be violating state law, and I'll bury you in counterclaims so fast your he'll spin. Evelyn smirked. Oh, you think the law's gonna save you? She took a step closer, her voice dropping to a whisper only he could hear. Have you ever seen what happens when an HOA wants to make someone's life hell? The next morning, Alex found the first fine taped to his door. $500 for unauthorized roof modifications. By the end of the week, there were 6 more. Landscaping violations. Improper trash bin storage. Disruptive exterior lighting. The total? Over $3,000 in bullshit penalties. It didn't stop there. His mailbox knocked off its post. A sudden complaint about his fence height, requiring an urgent remeasurement by the HOA. His lawn, which had always been perfectly maintained, was mysteriously reported as overgrown. The kicker? A formal complaint was made that his solar panels were causing interference with community-wide Wi-Fi. Oh, these motherfuckers, Alex muttered, staring at the latest notice. His phone buzzed. A text from Tom. They're rallying people against you. Evelyn's telling everyone your panels could lower property values. You should see the Nextdoor thread. Shit's getting nasty. Alex exhaled through his nose. They were trying to make him a pariah, turning the entire community against him. But they had no idea what they'd just started. That night, he set up cameras. He documented everything, the fines, the vandalism, the increasing hostility. And then, he started digging. Friday night, Alex sat in his office, staring at his laptop screen. His research had led him to something big. The HOA's financial records, well, the ones they publicly reported, had irregularities. Tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees. But the real kicker? A pattern of selective enforcement. Alex scrolled through old HOA notices. Homeowners with worse violations than him had been let off with warnings, because they were part of Evelyn's inner circle. And then he found it. The case that would be their undoing. 2 years ago, another homeowner had fought back. A veteran, James Holloway, had refused to comply with an arbitrary HOA demand. He had won in court, forcing the HOA to back down. But after his victory, his house was mysteriously IT'd for safety concerns. He sold and moved out within months. They ran him out. Alex's fists are clenched. That wasn't going to happen to him. And he wasn't going to wait for their next move. It was time to set the trap. Absolutely. The gloves are F now. This is where Alex gets hit with everything the HOA has. Legal threats, intimidation, community division, but he's already 2 steps ahead. This is where the war turns nuclear. The notice came in a thick, official-looking envelope, marked urgent. Alex slid it open, scanning the contents. Alex huffed a laugh. They were suing him. The HOA wasn't just throwing petty fines at him anymore. They were trying to crush him, bury him in legal fees. His phone rang. It was Tom. Dude, you see the letter? Yeah, Alex said, stretching his legs on his desk. They're going for it now. Man, Evelyn's parading around like she's already won, Tom sighed, telling everyone you're about to be evicted. Alex smirked. She's gonna be real pissed when that doesn't happen. What Evelyn didn't know was that Alex had already spoken to a lawyer. A good one. And what she didn't know, the lawsuit was built on sand. State law protected his right to solar panels, and the HOA's selective enforcement made it even weaker. But he wasn't going to tell her that yet. He was going to let her think she was winning. And then he'd burn it all down. The next HOA meeting was a circus. Evelyn stood at the front, addressing the room like a goddamn dictator. This is about respect, she declared, voice dripping with self-righteousness. Mr. Carter has shown blatant disregard for the rules we all follow. If he gets to break them, what's next? RVs in driveways? Pink houses? Trash on the lawns? Murmurs of agreement spread through the room. Greg, always her loyal attack dog, crossed his arms. Carter, you think you're special. H sneered. Do you think the rest of us are just idiots following rules while you do whatever the hell you want? Alex let them talk. Let them fume. Then he stood, holding up the lawsuit notice. So, let me get this straight, he said, voice even but sharp. This is about following rules. Huh. Evelyn smirked. Glad you're finally getting it. Alex pulled out another document. A past HOA violation list. This is a record of violations over the past 5 years. Guess what I found? He flipped a page. Greg, your fence is 3 inches over the limit. Never got a fine. Greg's face darkened. That's different. Yeah. How about Karen's flower beds? HOA explicitly forbids unapproved front yard modifications. But OT an exception, didn't there, Karen? Karen sank into her seat. Alex stepped forward. And here's my favorite one. 2 years ago, James Holloway put up decorative shutters without approval. HOA fined him and threatened to sue. He fought back. And suddenly, his home was cited for safety concerns. Forced to sell. Leave. The room was dead silent. Alex smiled coldly. You don't enforce rules. You enforce control. And the second someone fights back, he held up his lawsuit. You destroy them. Evelyn's jaw was tight, but she recovered fast. You're twisting things, she said smoothly. This is about you violating the community's trust. No, Evelyn, Alex said. This is about you being a goddamn tyrant. That night, it got personal. Alex's security cameras caught them. 2 figures, hoods up, flashlights scanning his property. One of them carried a crowbar. At 2:37 a.m., they pried his breaker box open. At 2:39 a.m., they cut his power. Too bad they didn't know he had a backup battery system. At 2:41 a.m., Alex's floodlights blasted on, blinding them. At 2:42 a.m., Alex was at his front door, shotgun in hand. Bad fucking idea. His voice was ice. The 2 figures bolted, scrambling like cockroaches. Alex's cameras had caught everything. The next morning, he printed out the screenshots. At midnight, he marched straight into the HOA office. Evelyn looked up from her desk and forced a smile. Mr. Carter, Alex slammed the photos onto the table. 2 of your people tried to sabotage my house last night. Evelyn's face went pale. Recognize them? Alex asked. Cause the police will. She swallowed hard. I have no idea who. Cut the bullshit, Alex snapped. Your little war just turned criminal. Vandalism. Trespassing. Attempted destruction of property. Evelyn licked her lips, choosing her words carefully. Alex, let's not be hasty. Oh, we're past hasty. He leaned in, lowering his voice. Do you want to play dirty? Let's go. I've got a full legal case locked and loaded. Your lawsuit. I'm countersuing. Your corrupt fines, I've reported them. Your misuse of HOA funds. Oh, we're going to talk about that. Evelyn swallowed. Now, Alex said, stepping back. You will ROP this lawsuit. You will stop your bullshit. Or I will bury you in lawsuits so deep you'll need a fucking snorkel to breathe. Evelyn's fingers curled into fists. But for the first time, she didn't have a damn thing to say. Evelyn, the HOA, is panicking, and Alex is ready to drop the hammer. This is where it all crashes down. Let's go. Word had spread. The damn neighborhood had turned up, some curious, some pissed, and some finally smelling blood in the water. Evelyn sat at the head of the table, lips pressed into a thin line, her loyalists flanking her. Greg, looking twitchy as hell, kept shifting in his seat like a man with something to hide. And then there was Alex. Calm, relaxed, like a man who knew ED already won. Evelyn cleared her throat. I called this meeting to address the dangerous precedent being set by one resident's refusal to comply with community regulations. Alex chuckled, loudly. Oh, we're still pretending this is about Yules. Evelyn shot him a glare. This is about protecting the values of our community. Alex stood up, walking to the front. You know what? You're right, Evelyn. This is about values. Let's talk about ours. He slapped a stack of papers onto the table. Let's start with the financial records. His voice was ice. Turns out, Our HOA has been bleeding money on legal fees. Except no actual lawsuits. Just inconveniently large retainer payments to a law firm that, oh, what do you know? It just happens to be owned by Evelyn's nephew. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Evelyn's face darkened. That is not Yvette. Oh, but it is, Alex cut in. Because of those payments? They explain why our HOA fees keep going up while nothing is fixed. He flipped to another document. And here's another fun one. Board member violations that were never enforced. Greg stiffened. Greg, my guy. Alex smirked. That fence of yours? 6 inches over the legal limit. Karen's flower beds? Explicitly against regulations. And yet no fines. No lawsuits. But my solar panels? He let out a slow whistle. Suddenly, it's a goddamn national emergency. Evelyn slammed a hand on the table. This meeting is not about. Oh, we're just getting started, Alex said, eyes burning. Alex reached into his folder and pulled out a document. The one that would end this. He held it up. This is the legal case of Holloway versus Oak Ridge HOA from 2 years ago. He turned to the room. Remember James Holloway? The guy who mysteriously had to sell his home after fighting the HOA? A few nods. Alex slammed the document onto the table. This case. He won, arguing that the HOA was targeting him unfairly. His legal fees? Reimbursed by the court. He paused. This case set a precedent. Silence. Alex leaned in. Which means my lawsuit. It is a guaranteed win. The room erupted. People whispering. People are glaring at Evelyn. Greg was sweating bullets. Wait, Evelyn sputtered. You don't have a case. This is ridiculous. Oh, I do, Alex said. Because not only do I have financial misconduct and deselective enforcement, but thanks to your dumbass goons who tried to sabotage my house. He tossed the security camera photos onto the table. I also have criminal charges. Evelyn's face turned white. You're bluffing, she hissed. Alex smiled. Want to bet? The room had turned against her. Even her board members looked rattled. Alex crossed his arms. You have 2 choices, Evelyn. 1. You drop your bullshit lawsuit, resign from the board, and hope nobody presses criminal charges. Or 2. We go LL the way with this. Evelyn's fingers twitched. Before she could answer, a loud bang sounded outside. The storm was back. And then, the entire neighborhood went black. Gasps. Murmurs. The power was out. Except, Alex turned slowly toward the window. His house, still glowing. People started noticing. Tom let out a low whistle. Well, ain't that something? A neighbor muttered, Jesus. We're all out, but Carter's house is still running? Someone else said. Hirito tell us? Evelyn was shaking. Alex grinned. Man, it would have been real nice if someone around here had. I don't know, alternative power sources. Huh. Murmurs turned to frustration. You made us vote for solar panels. A neighbor snapped at Evelyn. You said they were ugly, but now we're sitting in the car while his house is still lit. Evelyn's lips quivered. This isn't. But there was nothing left to say. She had lost. And the entire community knew it. But Alex is not just settling for a victory. He's going to make sure the whole damn system burns. Oh, nothing like this ever happens again. The next morning, Alex woke up too. The HOA's group chat, where Evelyn and her lapdogs used to coordinate their bullshit, had imploded. Karen S., Evelyn, you lied to us. We all bought into your garbage. Tom P. So where's all our HOA money, huh? Are you going to explain that? Greg H., I'm out. I don't need my name attached to this mess. Alex smirked, sipping his coffee. The first domino has fallen. By noon, Evelyn had from the HOA. She claimed it was for the good of the community, but everyone knew the truth. She was running. By 3 p.m., an emergency HOA meeting was held, without her. By 5 p.m., Alex got a text from Tom. You won't believe this. We just voted to strike every fine you got. The lawsuit is dead. Also, we're investigating HOA funds. Evelyn had spent years using this neighborhood like a dam, even treating everyone like her personal servants. Now, she was nothing. But Alex wasn't done. The next week, Alex was in his garage, tools in hand, installing more solar panels on his roof, when he heard footsteps behind him. He turned. Tom stood there, arms crossed, looking pish. Hey, Do you have a minute? Alex wiped his hands on his jeans. What's up? Tom let out a breath. Listen, man. I was a coward. I should have backed you from the start. Instead, I let Evelyn and her little crew push me around. Alex leaned against his workbench, waiting. Tom swallowed. You were right. And not just about the solar stuff. About it. Evelyn wasn't just enforcing rules. She was controlling us. And we let her. Alex exhaled through his nose. He had been wry, but he also knew how fear worked. People weren't evil. They were just scared to fight back. You're backing solar now, huh? Alex asked, a little smirk on his face. Tom laughed. Dude, after that storm, half the neighborhood is looking into it. You're gonna have competition for best lit house on the block. Alex shook his head. I don't mind. The more people who wake up, the better. Tom hesitated. Some of us are thinking of running for the HOA board to clean up the mess. You in? Alex thought about it. Did he want to deal with HOA bullshit? But then he remembered the feeling of was Hinge Evelyn's me remember. He remembered how it felt to win. He grinned. Yeah, I'm in. A month later, the neighborhood looked different. The HOA board, completely replaced. The Ines, all reversed. The Ola ban, gone. And the best part? More and more homes were going solar. Evelyn, she still lived in the neighborhood, but she kept her damn when there will be no more smug HOA emails. No more threats. The power had shifted. One night, as Alex stood in his driveway, looking over the neighborhood, Tom walked up beside him. You did it, man. Alex chuckled. We did it. Tom shook his head. No, you. You stood up. You fought. And because of that, he gestured at the houses around them. You changed this place. For good. Alex looked up at the night sky. The stars were out. The streets were quiet. And for the first time since he moved here, Oak Ridge Estates finally felt like home.